Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I'm doing a video, kind of special video out of my normal. This time I'm going to rank all of the Muppet movies. There are 8 Muppet theatrical release movies, starting from 1979, and the last one came out in 2014, it looks like. So it's been a little while since the last one, almost 8 years now. Uh, and I've been a Muppet fan since I was a kid, of course. Um, my memory as a kid was uh, we taped 2 Muppet movies off of TV on blanked VHS tapes. And one was The Great Muppet Caper, the other one was The Muppets Take Manhattan. And so those two I used to watch over and over again. Loved those 2 movies as a kid. Had a lot of nostalgia for those movies, I would say. And then eventually I saw like the Muppet movie, the first one, and then of course it wasn't until about Treasure Island that I started watching the new ones as they came out, uh, and absolutely loved that movie and loved most everything they come out with, and yeah, just absolutely love the Muppets. Got a lot of nostalgia for them, as I think a lot of people my age do. Um, I love Muppets. They have this very unique comedy or unique their movies are. You have the fourth wall breaking humor that I absolutely love, where they stare at the camera and they repeat a joke over and over again throughout the movie and kind of look at the camera, or they point out that this is a plot point or a cameo or stuff like that. I absolutely love that kind of humor, along with Deadpool and Wayne's World, all those kind of movies that do that kind of looking at the camera and uh, saying, "Yeah, we know we're in a movie." I don't know why. I always been a big sucker for that. So I love that kind of humor that they do. I love the music. Muppets are really good with great original songs and original scores. And I'm a big fan of musicals in general. So I do love Muppet movies because they always really come out with good songs. Um, and then the other thing is the cameos. They're really known for really famous cameos. They get really famous actors or whatever to come in just for a short scene, and that's very unique. No other movie really has that many cameos like the Muppet movies do. And so it's always fun to see somebody come out of nowhere in a Muppet movie with a cameo that really doesn't have anything to do with the plot or anything. Anyway, so that's kind of a little bit about my background on the Muppets. But yeah, so I'm gonna go through 8 through 5, I think, on this video probably, and then go 4 through 1 on another video of the Muppets. I would say, be honest, like 8 through 5, I would say are movies that are not. I didn't think were really that good. Rewatching them now as an adult, 4 through 1 I thought was pretty good. I mean, the top 3 I think are really good movies that I really enjoyed going back and watching. Anyway, so let's start from number 8. I think by far the worst Muppet movie is Muppets from Space that came out in 1999. This was directed by someone named Tim Hill, who I think I looked him up one time, and I don't think he did anything that I cared for. Jeffrey Tambor plays a pretty major part in the movie, and of course a bunch of cameos. I think this movie's terrible for a couple of reasons. Uh, One is it's got the worst cameos I've ever seen, or just the lowest level of celebrities. Like, you want big celebrities. When I saw David Arquette and Kathy Griffin and Rob Schneider um, in cameos, I thought, wow, they're really digging the bottom of the barrel for cameos. Has anybody ever thought of these actors since then? Maybe they're a bit bigger back then in 1999, but man, watching it, you go, wow, I don't care for any of these actors. Um, so I think that was a sign that something was wrong. Um, the other thing I don't like about the movie is that it's the only Muppet movie without original music in it. Instead of doing original songs that they've always done, they decided that we're just going to put in radio music. Or I don't know if they did the original or if they remade it, but they said funk and soul. When I read it, so they decided to go with the funk and soul style of music anyway. So there's songs like Brick House in there and so forth. And so anyway, so that really loses a lot of the charm of the Muppets is that original music uh, that really gets you. Either it's a fun song or sometimes they hit you with an emotional song. At times, they do a really good job with. So I think it was a bad choice not to have someone come in and write some original music. Even from us, Muppets from Space. If you don't know, Muppets from Space is all about Gonzo. Really, Gonzo, who everybody in the cast is an animal except for Gonzo. We don't know what Gonzo is, and that's kind of been a running joke throughout the movies and stuff. They always talk about the frog, pig, bear, and a whatever. They always go to Gonzo and say and even Gonzo says whatever. He calls himself a whatever. That was the best they come up with. I don't know why he's not an animal. That's always the way it's been. So it's funny, this movie. I mean, there's a funny premise there that the movie's gonna look at what is Gonzo, and of course, the answer is he's an alien from outer space, and there's a bunch of other aliens that look like him, and he kind of starts getting these messages from outer space that his kind are coming, and of course nobody believes him, and nobody sees these signs that he's seeing. Anyway, so they think he's kind of crazy. And then the government's after him because they want to catch him because he's an alien, or they think he's an alien, and so they want to do experiments on him or something. Anyway, so he's running from the government, and it kind of comes this almost buddy movie with him and Rizzo the Rat. They kind of go off together, and they get captured by the government, and then the rest of the group has to go rescue them, and that's kind of the basic plot. At first, it's kind of an interesting plot, but then as it goes along, it's not that interesting. I never really liked it when they split up the Muppets and one Muppets by themselves for a long period of time. Because the Muppets are always the best and the funniest when they're together, I think. So I never been a big fan of that. And it wasn't a funny movie. Like, of all the 8 movies, I laughed the least out of this movie, I'd say. So it's got 2 big problems. No great music and wasn't funny. Anyways, besides, I said, the bad cameos and so forth. And there's a weird cameo where Katie Holmes and Joshua Jackson, I believe his name is, shows up, and I'm like, oh, it's Katie Holmes. Like, what's Katie? And it's like a young Katie Holmes, and it turns out that they were shooting Dawson's Creek, like right next to the studio. So they asked them to come over just to do a cameo. So that's kind of funny to me. That was a weird cameo. Going, what's she doing there? And one of the funny things, or I say funny, not weird things about the movie to me is it makes a lot of parodies of movies that are kind of random. There's a part where Rizzo is he's kind of in this with these other rats, kind of in a prison where David Arquette's this like mad scientist, making them do mouse mazes and kind of abusive to the rats, I should say. And so he has a breakout, and it's definitely a parody of Shawshank Redemption. Which I was funny when I was watching. I'm like, is this parody of Shawshank Redemption? Like in this kids movie? Like, I don't know how many kids are going to understand that reference. So I thought that was weird. There's a lot of Close Encounters of the Third Kind references, because he thinks aliens are speaking to him, and he makes like a mashed potato Devil's Tower thing, I think, in the movie. There's Independence Day random parody scene. I was like, oh wow, they're doing Independence Day, which I guess makes sense because this is soon after Independence Day, but I don't know, still didn't feel like something a kids movie would have. And there's even a Spies Like Us parody kind of shortly in there, which I don't think kids would understand that parody, but maybe it's for the adults to go, oh yeah, wow, that's a funny parody, but to me I'm like, well, that's weird. Anyway, so that's Muppets from Space from 1999. I put it number 8 on my list. Number 7 on my list, I'm putting Muppets, the Muppet movie, the very first one from 1979. Which, I mean, I don't know if it's a hot take to put that, because it's probably pretty well beloved. I mean, it's the first movie, and I understand there's some nostalgia for it, and maybe there's some love for that movie. So I hate putting it this low, but I just had to be this low. It was directed by a guy named James Frawley, which I don't know much about. So when I did research, it said that he really did not get along with the people that were doing the Muppets, and he hated making the movie. Which is funny because it became a pretty popular movie and did very well. Probably the best movie that he's ever directed, if I remember right. If I looked through his movies that he directed, I thought this is probably the best one, and he hated making it. So he never came back to work on the Muppet movies again. Other big thing to say is there's a guy named Paul Williams that they brought in to do the music, and his musical score and his songs that he wrote become pretty iconic. Of course, the big one was Rainbow Connection, which was nominated for Best Song and also got an Oscar nomination for Best Score. So, Paul Williams did a really good job. I think with this movie it's the very first movie, and he really set the bar for music for the Muppets, I think. It's good. My issue with the movie, I find that this is what I found with watching a lot of the Muppet movies, that they do a pretty good job of starting a movie at a pretty good spot, and they do a really good job with ending the movie. And it's just that middle part, though, gets kind of slow, and the plots aren't real strong, and it kind of drags, and there's a real issue there in the middle. And I think this one really suffers from that. I love the beginning, of course, is iconic because you get the aerial shot onto the swamp where he's singing Rainbow Connection. Kermit is on a banjo on a log. Iconic opening shot. The very last scene, they're singing Rainbow Connection again, but all the Muppets are together, singing it together, and they're trying to make this play this musical because they got a contract to be in Hollywood. Anyway, so great ending to it. But I didn't care for the whole plot of there's this guy who has these restaurant that his specialty is frog legs, and he wants Kermit to be his mascot. And of course, Kermit's obviously he's like, no, you're. It's kind of dark in a way. It's like you're killing frogs, you're killing my people, and you're feeding people the frog legs, whatever. Pretty morbid. But the whole movie, he's chasing him and he's trying to get him, and he fails and fails. Anyways, and then there's a whole showdown at this ghost town. I don't know. I just didn't find a lot of that I didn't care for. But it has a lot of great, like I said, humor of they keep repeating this one joke about, I'm lost, and someone says, have you tried Hare Krishna? And they do that like 3 times throughout the movie, so it's a little funny at the second time, and even Kermit looks at the camera and says, we're going to be doing this joke, several times, kind of pointing out that I know this you've heard this joke before, but it's kind of a running gag, he kind of lets the audience know. That's pretty funny. I love that part of it. So the music's great. Rainbow Connection, Moving Right Along, I believe, is a song with him and Fozzie the Bear in the car, which is a pretty catchy tune. And there's a great song with Piggy when Piggy and Kermit first see each other and she falls in love with him. There's a nice song there. I'm forgetting the name of it on top of my head, but anyways, so it definitely has that great music in it. Like I said, just a little boring in the middle part, and overall plot I didn't care for, and so that's why I got number 7, the Muppets movie. Number 6, I have Muppets Take Manhattan from 1984. This is the 3rd movie that they made. Again, it's another movie that's probably well beloved, and so I have it kind of low on my list because it has a lot of similar problems to the original or to the first movie. This one's directed by Frank Oz, who obviously did a lot of Muppet work and voices, and highly involved in the Muppet movies. Frank Oz, of course, is the voice of Yoda in Star Wars, and he's directed some other movies on his own, so he's kind of a well-known director, actually. But this is the first one that he, I think, got to direct. And Jim Henson, I think, was going to direct it originally, but then decided, hey, Frank, I directed the last movie, why don't you take this one? Anyways, I did get 1 Oscar nomination for Best Score overall. Again, it's an interesting movie where a lot of the Muppet movies, of course, it's all about we're going to put on a show, we're going to get the gang together, put on a show kind of thing, and then we're going to have a show at the end. Kind of the old-fashioned, like, Hollywood-type plot. What I didn't like about the movie, I guess, what makes me so low is that fairly early in the movie they decide to split up because they're trying to make it as a Broadway play, their musical that they put on at the beginning, and everybody's saying no. So then this group kind of splits off, and then you have Kermit, and he's still trying to go get it, the play, the musical. He's trying to get someone to take on or buy the musical and put it on Broadway, but he keeps failing, and I don't know, it's just kind of boring watching him fail after fail. And then you got Piggy watching him, and she's jealous because she thinks he's going out with this human girl that befriended him at this restaurant. And I don't know, the whole plot point just kind of dragged. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm spoiling these movies, by the way. Out of nowhere, he gets hit by a car and has amnesia, and then they're looking for Kermit. Kermit doesn't realize, he's Kermit, and then they have to convince him that he's Kermit and that he needs to put the show on. So it's an interesting kind of plot, you know, differentiate from the original plot. Uh, kind of a big change and everything. I don't know. I didn't really care for all that. Like I said, I didn't care for all the different Muppets having their own thing going on. I like when they're together. And the best parts of movies are at the beginning and the end when they're together. All that. Still, music is great again. The very last sequence I absolutely love when they're putting on the musical and they're singing the "Someone's Getting Married" and "I'll Make Him Happy." Those two songs are really great. And then spoilers, Kermit and Piggy she gets Kermit to marry her, kind of pranks him and like tricks him, I should say, into marrying her at the end, which is kind of funny because he will never make a commitment, but she tricks him but it's a really nice, sweet, romantic moment at the end, and love that song at the end and all the gang putting on the musical. So again, great ending. Just the middle part again, just kind of dragged. So that's number 6, Muppets Take Manhattan. Number 5, last movie I'll talk on this video, is The Great Muppet Caper. As you notice, I kind of have the first 3, kind of the original, with Jim Henson was highly involved. I kind of towards the bottom. Unfortunately, that's just the way it was. That I don't think they quite got the formula for a good movie yet until much later. And The Great Muppet Caper came out in 1981. It's the second movie that they came out with. It's the only one directed by Jim Henson, which surprised me. I figured he directed all 3, those 3 original, 3 first ones. But this is the only one he directs. He gets a Best Song nomination for The First Time It Happens. And that's the only Oscar nomination anyway. So he got a song nomination there. Has some good human actors in there. Charles Grodin and Diane Rigg played pretty big parts in here. And Charles Grodin especially does a really good job as the comedic bad guy, I should say. And both have died recently. I think Charles Grodin just died this last year, and then Diane Rigg in 2020. So interesting to watch that again with those 2 actors. What I love about The Great Muppet Capers is it's a more original story than the other ones. Like I said, they usually have somewhat a formulaic plot point of, let's get the gang together and put on a show, or we're going to put on a musical or whatever. This is the first one where it has nothing to do with let's get the gang together and put on a musical type plot. And I love that. And it's about this, diamond that gets stolen, and Miss Piggy, I think, is framed, or somebody gets framed, and all this. And so I love that aspect of it, and that they're doing something different. I love especially Kermit, Gonzo, and Fonzie are really, really great. They play these 3 reporters that are covering this stolen diamond thing in England, I believe. And I think Fozzie and Kermit are twins. Obviously, they're 2 different species, a bear and a frog, and yet they keep that going throughout the movie that we're twins. It's pretty funny. But those 3 are really good in the movie. And then you got the hotel. I love the hotel sequences. The Happiness Hotel. The whole song is great. I love that opening there. I love it. Yeah, I think it says something like, you have 3 options for, either you pay in cash, you pay in credit card, or you leave in the middle of the night and don't pay at all. And they say, we'll take the 3rd option. Anyways, like that was pretty funny. The beginning is absolutely hilarious. I love the beginning where they're in a hot air balloon, Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo, and we see the opening credits, and they're commenting on the opening credits as they're showing on the screen. Absolutely brilliant beginning that I've never seen before in a movie. I don't think I've ever seen since, really. I love that idea of calling out the opening credits like that. And and the opening song is great. We're in a movie. Song's all about, hey, we're in a movie. And it's a really catchy song. But again, a lot of great songs. Love the whole plot. The only thing, like I said again, is it drags with the Kermit and Miss Piggy romance. That whole sequence is really boring. her really faking that she's like this rich person, and they go to this house that's not hers, and that whole sequence I thought not funny at all, and just kind of drags the whole plot of the movie down, and it really kind of hurts the movie. Though I said it's number 5 on my list. It's the best out of those 3 first movies, kind of that they came out with, but still, it has pacing issues that hurt it overall. And now I think about it, I forgot to mention Muppets Take Manhattan. Also, one of my favorite sequences in that movie is the Muppet baby sequence. First time we see Muppet babies, but man, they're still so cute, the Muppet babies. And there's this whole song sequence where Piggy's singing about Kermit, I'm forgetting about, she'll always be there for him or something. Anyways, and goo goo gaga, goo, and all the Muppet babies singing along. So good. Anyway, so sorry, I just now remember that. Anyways, but yeah, Great Muppet Caper, good idea. Just doesn't. Overall, the pacing is just off, I think, on it, and it's almost. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably put it up higher on my list. Anyways, I wanted to because it's probably my favorite as a kid, but watching again is just too slow moving. Anyway, so okay, I think that's enough on that. So that's my first 4, the bottom 4 on my list, 8 through 5, and I'll do another video with my top 4, which if you know the Muppet movies, you know what's coming up. But anyway, so that's what I got so far. So thank you for watching the video. Tell me if you like the Muppets. What Muppet's your favorite movie? Love to see the comments. Just thank you for anybody liking the video. Thank you to subscribers for supporting the channel. And I just appreciate all of you. Have a good day.